I'm Magda. Today we're taking a closer look at Frida Kahlo's 1939 painting, What the Water Gave Me. The painting takes place in a bathtub and gives us Kahlo's perspective on her feet within the bath. Notably, it does not include a likeness of Kahlo in terms of her face, and the figure is limited just to her feet. In this way, it challenges the viewer to, instead of looking to a figure to empathize and understand the emotion, actions, and narrative of a piece and the setting, it asks the viewer to look around to try and gain clues to unlock the mystery of what's happening. Kahlo did this deliberately and emphasized this by not choosing a direct focal point of the piece. So there's many different things happening, as you can see in these 3 studies. As I can't show you the original image, these are 3 studies which detail various styles and entities within the piece. However, I highly recommend that you look up the original What the Water Gave Me, as it is incredibly intricate and you can spend hours looking at, understanding, and taking apart various entities, and getting a much closer understanding of Frida Kahlo and her life. Kahlo shows us her relationship to herself, her understanding of herself, and her space by giving us an understanding of her bathroom. Think about your relationship to your space and how that reflects who you are and who you've been in the past. Maybe it's an unmade bed because you didn't have time to make it before you had to get out of the house. Maybe it's a sink full of dirty dishes. While this image should not include your face, it can include a shadow or part of you or your feet. It should showcase how you interact with your space, as well as your identity. This image can include object or entity assembly like Kahlo, or be more a documentary image of your space and how you interact with it.
Hey, welcome to my studio. Thank you for coming. Honestly, I have pretty exclusive access because the only people who come in here are really me and the people I consider family. But indirect portraits can be pretty tricky. I mean, taking a self-portrait, whether you're drawing it or a photo or a selfie, can be challenging in and of itself because we're constantly judging ourselves or seeing if it's the right angle or the right lighting or the right time of day. But taking an indirect portrait, you're really looking closer into how you relate to your space and who you are and who you hope to be, which can be a lot more than just like which filter on Snapchat you should use. I was thinking a lot about the different spaces that I use and that I occupy and that I think of as home and reflect my relationship both to myself and who I hope to become and who I have become over the years. One place is definitely the studio. I spend an inordinate amount of time in here because I make work constantly. It's how I live. I work like a shark. I just keep moving. Another place is my desk, where I've done all the research for this series, where I do all of my research and work for school, which is a lot, double majoring. Woo! And both of those places are where I do a lot of work, where I spend a lot of my time, but also where I get to learn about and develop my passions for anthropology and art accessibility and art history and contemporary art. So I realized that my passions and my work are really what I feel define me right now in my life. But past just being productive and the work that I do and this and that and being flashy, which as you could tell, I'm wearing my work clothes. I'm not the flashiest person, is what I have a bad habit of leaving behind when I've abandoned my work and decided to go to bed. I have a very short attention span. And so there's 2 sides of that. The good side is everything's a surprise. I don't really know what's going to happen, even when it's happening. The bad side is everything is a surprise. So I frequently lose track of things. So in my studio, there's always at least 1 or 2 water bottles that I've left behind because I'm trying to stay hydrated. I'm trying to drink my water, but I also just manage to forget it. And at my desk, it's almost always my sneakers. And if you're a sneakerhead, you love sneakers. I love my sneakers, but I'm not a sneakerhead. My sneakers also show all of the work that I've done because they're always super beat up. I don't take care of them because I let them protect me and help me get my work done. So my sneakers are always covered in paint and dirt and beat up and whatever. So I decided to take images of both my water bottles in my studio and my sneakers underneath my desk and see how I can play with the composition and the lighting and everything to reflect my relationship to that, but also those parts of me that after all the work is done and gone is like, what's left of me? Hey, welcome back to the studio. So, after you've taken these incredible images, which I'm very proud of you for taking, that can be a really difficult process and a very emotional process. Now we're gonna bring it to the public, which you might say like, no, I don't want to do that. But trust me, it's a really amazing process to be able to be honest enough with yourself, to take something that's very vulnerable and intrinsic about yourself and bring it to the public, because no matter how alone you feel, there are always going to be people that relate. There's always going to be people that get something out of you being honest. And there's always going to be people who love you and who will accept you. And that may be really hard to hear right now, and that may sound just completely unimaginable. But trust me, there are. And things can be really hard, but the only constant in our life is change. And everything's always changing. So even if it might be a hard time right now, I promise you it'll change. So making the images that you have into an installation, it might be a lot to handle right now. It might be a lot. So what you might do for your installation is think of the public as the other people who come into your space. That might be your roommate or your family, or that might be just your neighbors, but consider taking maybe one or two of the objects in your photo into a public space. And that might just be taking the blanket from your bed and using that for a picnic, and taking an image of that picnic and thinking of that as a public installation of art. You could change the way your room is arranged to change your relationship to your room. See if maybe moving your bed away from the outlet makes it so you can go to sleep faster because you're not on your phone. Or you could go even a little farther with it and try and make different forms of art out of your photo. Maybe this means making a drawing or a painting of it. Maybe this means making a drawing on newsprint and making a wheat paste installation out of it. Wheat paste is just sort of a cheaper version of wallpaper glue, taking a thin piece of paper, making a drawing of it, and then gluing it up onto a wall. If you do this on a space where you have permission, it's not graffiti and it's not illegal. Another installation could just be taking the image that you have and the emotion that you get from it and making it into a song or a sound installation or a piece of music. Whatever you do, take a risk, be careful, make mistakes, and make yourself proud.